So Freakier Friday was directed by Nisha Ganatra and it stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Lindsay Lohan, Julia Butters, Sophia Hammond, a few other people from the original Freaky Friday also appear in this movie, and this movie taking place over 20 years after the original events of the first Freaky Friday movie. Anna and Tess return. Anna is now a single parent. She's about to get married to a man who also happens to be a single parent. Meanwhile, her daughter is not really a fan of her future stepsister. So a couple days before Anna's wedding, everyone's bodies get all mixed up. Anna and her daughter switch bodies. Tess switches bodies with Anna's future stepdaughter. It's all really confusing, and we have a new Freaky Friday movie. So Freaky Friday is one of those movies that was like really big in my family. We saw it a couple times, and it was really funny. We still quote it to this day. Make good choices. I look like Stevie Nicks. Who's he? There are a lot of really funny lines from the original movie. And I was definitely excited to see this new movie because, again, the first movie was really good, and especially considering Lindsay Lohan is coming back, Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back, two of them together in this movie again, that is just perfect right there. The trailers themselves looked okay, the movie itself looked fine, it looked like it was going to be... Again, I wasn't really expecting, like, awards bait from a movie like this. I expected a fun time with it. And honestly, yeah, that's kind of what I got from it. This movie is a fun time, overall. It's not amazing by any means, and I do have some issues with it, but it's still a good enough time. I think if you enjoyed the first Freaky Friday movie, you'll definitely enjoy this one. First off, let's start off with the acting. I thought the actors did a really good job. Jamie Lee Curtis, in particular, stands out. She was really funny in this movie, both as Tess and also as Lily, who's the new stepdaughter in this movie. I thought she was really good. Lindsay Lohan, it's just really good to see Lindsay Lohan again in a movie like this. Usually, she's been getting like very small roles or like movies that are like going straight to like streaming services and such. And I'm glad she's in a big movie again, and she's really good in this movie too. As far as the newcomers, Julia Butters, who she plays Anna's daughter in this movie. I thought she did a good job. Sophia Hammond, I thought she did a really good job as the future stepdaughter of Anna. Thought she was really good. Their chemistry is pretty good for the most part. The chemistry between all four of them are really good, and you never really get lost into like who's in whose body. You definitely kind of tell who's in whose body. At first, I was kind of thinking, it's like, why are they throwing all this stuff in there and kind of like making it more complex than it has to be? But it actually does work out in the end. As far as some of the other actors in this movie, the only ones that really stood out, first off, were Chad Michael Murray, who, first off, I did not expect him to be as good as he was in this movie. I would dare say he's actually better here than he was in the first Freaky Friday movie. As far as the new players go as well, the one who stood out to me the most was Vanessa Bayer. I thought she did a really good job as kind of the reason why everyone's kind of all in different bodies and such. Also, the actor who plays Anna's future husband, I thought he did a really good job. I remember he was on The Good Place. And also, I kind of like their relationship. It kind of made me care about their characters a little bit more, whereas like in the first Freaky Friday, it was just kind of the relationship between Jamie Lee Curtis and Mark Harmon. Mark Harmon does return for a little bit, kind of more of a thankless role. And also, this movie is pretty funny, particularly starting when they actually switch bodies. That's when the movie actually does become really funny and actually really engaging and such. There were times where I was laughing in my seat. It's pretty funny. And also, I do like some of the things that they keep, but some things they change. And I do think they know... I think it's one of those better movies where it's like, when we get a lot of these legacy sequels these days, and a lot of them kind of just do a lot of the same stuff from the original. And yeah, this movie does a lot of stuff from the original. Again, mainly the whole switching bodies idea, but I felt like they kept that to a minimum. And I felt like it changed enough, but at least it shows they learned from the first movie quite a bit. It's not necessarily Anna and Tess arguing this time around, it's more Anna and her daughter arguing this time around, which I thought was a little bit more refreshing, but still kept in line with the original movie. And also some things where it's kind of like very little small details where it's like, I'm glad you kind of did this moment. It's like, it may not be big, but it's actually really cool. I thought it's still a fun time overall, but let's talk about some of the things I don't really like about this movie. I would say this movie has a very slow start. I would say the first act of this movie, before they actually switch bodies, is just not nearly as fun. It's just not nearly as fun either. It's mostly just backstory, which, at least, Freaky Friday, the first one, it kind of had the same thing where it's like, it's mostly backstory for the first, like, third or maybe even 20 minutes. But at least there's still funny moments. There's still fun moments. You're still kind of getting to know the characters and such. And there are definitely some moments in Freakier Friday where it's like, it's slowing down a bit, and it shouldn't be slowing down. It's not until they all switch bodies where it's like, okay, this is where the shenanigans begin, this is where the fun begins, and also let's just have a good time. And also, I will say this movie is just not nearly as memorable. A lot of the lines from the first movie I still remember to this day. Again, I quoted some of them in this video, but some of the lines in this one, they're not quite as quotable. There are a couple that I remember, but if I'm being honest, I'm probably not going to quote this movie as much as I quoted the first movie. And also, there are some things in the third act which I felt like they were just unnecessary. Like, why did you have to drive it to this point? And I'm like, this feels a little too forced. I felt like you didn't really need this. And also, this is kind of like the biggest issue that I have with this movie is that at times it feels like there is no urgency in the situations. Like, in the first movie, Anna and Tess are stuck in each other's bodies, but Tess is getting married literally the next day. But in this movie, there doesn't seem to be any sense of urgency in the sense that it involves another wedding, but it's not taking place until like sometime later, not even the next day. So I'm like, is kind of losing a lot of the tension from the original movie quite a bit. But overall, I would still say this movie is still a fun time overall. Like, this movie is fine, it's serviceable, but again, I wasn't really expecting, Oscar caliber material from Freakier Friday. But I still had fun with it. So the actors do a good job. The fun really starts when they actually just start switching bodies, and that's when the shenanigans really begin. The new performers are pretty good. I like their performances. I thought they were fun at times. I thought it can be funny. I thought they changed some things that were necessary, and I thought they kept some things that were good and actually kind of learned a lot from the first movie in the sense that they didn't just retread the first movie. They could have easily just had Anna and Tess switch bodies for a second time, and it kind of would have felt like the first movie was for nothing if they did it again. But at least they kind of learned. And even though I don't really care for the first act too much, I don't think it's nearly as fun as the first movie or as funny. I do think there are some things in the third act that are just completely unnecessary, and also there's just no urgency in the whole, we're in each other's bodies situation. It's still a fun time overall. Fun enough. I would recommend at some points. I would give Freakier Friday 2.5 out of 4 stars. Stream it. So, what is your favorite live action Disney movie? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.